You shouldn't be here. You know that the moment your boot scrapes against concrete that hasn't felt a human step in decades, the sound skitters ahead of you, swallowed by darkness, echoed back. Wrong, too many angles, too many hollow spaces. Your flashlight beam trembles as it cuts forward, carving a thin white tunnel through dust, so thick it looks like snowfall frozen in midair. Something moves at the edge of that light. Low, heavy, breathing rough. The dog limps into view again. He's a pit bull mix, broad-chested even under grime, ribs rising and falling with slow effort. One ear is torn like it lost an argument years ago. Scars ladder his muzzle, pale against dark fur. His back leg drags, just enough to make each step uneven, painful to watch. But his eyes, when the light catches them, aren't wild. They're focused. He pauses at the mouth of the ventilation shaft, looks back at you, and waits. Your heart thuds so hard it feels like it's trying to bruise its way out of your chest. You hadn't planned on this. Tonight was supposed to be simple. A quick explore, some B-roll for your channel, proof that the city still has hidden veins running beneath it. You'd mapped the sealed 1920s station weeks ago, officially closed, forgotten, off limits, but the dog changed everything. You'd found him 3 blocks away, under a flickering street lamp, dragging that leg through puddles that reflected neon and trash. When you crouched, he hadn't flinched, hadn't begged, just turned and started walking, slow but deliberate, glancing back every few steps like he was checking if you were still there. You followed without deciding to. Now you're crouched at the edge of a shaft humans usually miss, a rectangle of rusted metal half, hidden behind an old utility cage. The grate hangs open, pried back just enough for something determined to slip through. The dog slips through. You hesitate. Your camera hums softly against your chest, red light blinking. Recording. Always recording. You tell yourself it's habit, that this is what you do. But the truth presses in from all sides. The air down here smells wrong. Old water, metal fatigue. Something stale and human underneath it all. You lower yourself into the shaft. Cold metal bites through your gloves. Dust coats your tongue, dry and bitter. The space narrows immediately, forcing you to crawl, elbows scraping, knees complaining. The dog moves ahead with surprising ease, claws clicking softly, never stopping despite the limp. The city above fades. Sound changes first. Traffic becomes a distant murmur, then a memory. In its place, the slow drip of water somewhere deep, the whisper of air moving through forgotten passages. Your own breathing sounds too loud, too alive for a place like this. The shaft opens suddenly. You slide down the last few feet and land on gravel that crunches under your weight. The flashlight beam swings wide, then steadies. And there it is, a platform. Not the kind commuters remember. No bright tiles, no maps, just crumbling concrete and iron columns wrapped in peeling paint, the color of old bone. A station abandoned so long that darkness has learned its shape. Rails disappear into black tunnels on either side, warped with rust. Advertisements cling to the walls in tatters, smiling faces from a century ago, selling things that no longer exist. Your skin prickles. You step forward, slow, every sense stretched thin. The dog pads ahead, tail low but calm, like this place is familiar, like he's been here before, many times. You've got to be kidding me, you whisper. Your voice falls flat, absorbed by the station. No echo. Just gone. The dog veers toward the far end of the platform, toward a section where the ceiling has partially collapsed. Rubble forms a crude barrier, but there's a narrow gap beneath twisted rebar. The dog slips through without hesitation. You follow! On the other side, the air changes again. Warmer, heavier, it carries a faint smell of oil and something else. Food! Not fresh! Wrapped! Handled! Your light catches movement. The dog stops beside a pile of debris arranged too neatly to be random. Wooden pallets stacked into a wall, a tarp stretched overhead, milk crates forming shelves. It's a shelter assembled with patience and necessity. Your stomach tightens. People don't come down here. Not officially. The dog lowers his head and gently sets something down. A sandwich wrapper! It lands on a folded blanket right beside a pair of worn boots placed heel to heel, like someone meant to put them on again. The wrapper crinkles softly, the loudest sound in the room. Your flashlight beam drifts upward. There's a man lying there. He's thin, beard streaked with gray and soot. His jacket is military surplus, faded, patched at the elbows. One arm rests across his chest, fingers curled as if holding onto something invisible. His chest rises, falls. He's asleep, alive. Your breath stalls halfway to your lungs. 5 years! That number hits you out of nowhere, uninvited. You'd read the article back when you were still new to urban exploration. A homeless veteran vanished after being reported missing by an outreach group. Search teams checked shelters, hospitals, parks. Eventually, the case went cold. Another name folded into statistics no one likes to linger on. You'd forgotten it. Until now. The dog noses the man's shoulder gently, careful, practiced. The man stirs, murmurs something too soft to catch. The dog settles beside him, body curved protectively, scarred flank rising and falling in sync with the man's breathing. This isn't an accident. Your hands feel clumsy around the camera. The weight of it suddenly seems obscene. You lower it a fraction, unsure whether this moment should be recorded or protected. Your flashlight shakes, beam jittering across the shelter walls, revealing more details. Canned food stacked by type, a battery-powered lantern, handwritten notes taped to a beam, schedules maybe. Reminders. This place isn't a hideout, it's a home. Your boot shifts on loose gravel. The sound snaps sharp in the stillness. The dog's head lifts instantly. His eyes lock onto you, dark and alert, body tensing but not aggressive. He doesn't growl, he doesn't bark, he watches. The man's eyes open. They're pale, clouded at first, then sharpening as they find you standing there, half lit, half swallowed by shadow. His hand moves, slow but deliberate, toward something beside the blanket.
"You can't see what it is! Don't!"
he says, voice rough as gravel. Awake now, present. Don't come closer. You freeze. Your pulse hammers against your ribs, loud enough you're sure they can hear it. The dog shifts, placing himself between you and the man, but he doesn't bare his teeth. It feels like a test. I'm not here to hurt you, you manage. The words sound thin in the air. Inadequate. I followed him. The dog. Silence stretches. The man studies you, then the camera, then the light. Something unreadable flickers across his face. Fear, calculation, maybe exhaustion so deep it's carved permanent lines into his skin. Everyone does, he says finally. They just don't know it. Your mind stumbles over that. Before you can ask what he means, the dog nudges the man's hand insistently, then presses his head into the man's chest. The tension eases a notch. The man exhales slowly, like he's been holding his breath for years. You shouldn't be here, he says again. Softer this time. Not a warning, a fact. You nod because he's right. Your flashlight beam drifts back to the sandwich wrapper, the careful way it was placed, to the limp in the dog's leg, suddenly heavy with meaning, to the realization blooming cold and electric in your gut. The dog wasn't lost. He was providing. And whatever this place is, whatever this man has been surviving in, it's about to collide with the outside world. Because you came down here. You don't move. Not because you're brave, because your body has decided that any sudden motion in this buried station could turn into a mistake you can't rewind. Your flashlight beam sits like a blade across the shelter's tarp roof, cutting a triangle of pale light that makes everything look more fragile than it is. The man's hand stays near whatever he reached for, still hidden, still possible. The dog stands between you two, a scarred statue with a limp, watching your face like he's trying to read the kind of person you are. Not your words, not your camera, your intent. You swallow. The sound is louder than it should be. I'm leaving, you say, and even that feels like stepping onto thin ice. Okay, I'll back out. I didn't know. Shut the light, the man says. It's not shouted. It's worse than that. Flat and controlled, like he's learned exactly how quiet a command can be and still land. Your fingers tighten around the flashlight. The beam trembles, skates across the old man's cheeks, and for a second you catch the details you didn't register the first time, the way his eyes keep flicking to the tunnel behind you, not just to you, the way he's listening for something beyond your presence. You click the flashlight off. Darkness pours into the space instantly, thick as oil. Your camera's tiny screen glows against your chest like a forbidden ember. You can hear your own breath again, careful, measured, while your eyes try to adjust and fail. Somewhere close, water drips in a slow, patient rhythm. The dog exhales, a soft huff. Then, as if the darkness is a signal, the man speaks again, quieter. You're not supposed to see this, he says. Your mouth dries out. You realize how exposed your voice is in the dark, how it can't hide behind light anymore. I didn't mean to, you answer. I thought he was hurt. He is, the man says, a pause. But he's not helpless. In the black, you feel the dog shift his weight. Nails scrape lightly against concrete. He's there, solid. Real, a presence anchoring the room. You flick your flashlight back on, just a little tilting the beam down so it lights the floor instead of the man's face. A compromise, a promise not to blind him. The man watches you do it. For a second, neither of you speaks. The station seems to listen. Then the man's gaze slides past you to the tunnel mouth again. His jaw tightens. Did anyone follow you? He asks. The question hits you like cold water. No, you say too fast, and the man hears the speed in it. You correct yourself, slower. I don't think so. I came alone. He nods, but it's the kind of nod that means he's not convinced by anything you say. He's convinced by patterns, by years. He shifts, pushing himself upright with a stiffness that suggests old injuries healed wrong. When he sits up, you finally see what his hand went for. A a small metal pipe tucked beside the blanket. Not a gun, not a knife. A tool turned into a weapon because that's what survival does. The dog leans into him immediately, pressing his shoulder against the man's hip like a living brace. The man's fingers scratch behind the dog's torn ear in a way that's automatic and tender, like a reflex the world hasn't managed to break. Your chest tightens, not with fear now, but with something else you don't want to name. His name, you ask, nodding slightly at the dog. The man hesitates, like names are currency down here. Rook, he says finally. The dog doesn't react like most pets would. No wagging, no perked ears, just a slow blink acknowledgement more than obedience. Rook, of course, a piece on a board, a guardian, something that moves in straight lines, unwavering. You shift your weight, careful not to step closer. Your camera strap creaks softly. The red recording light continues blinking, steady as a heartbeat. The man's eyes flick to it again. Turn that off, he says. Your fingers go numb around the camera housing. If you turn it off, you lose proof. You lose the reason you'll be believed if anything goes wrong. You lose the only witness you brought with you besides your own memory. But you can also feel something else, the thin boundary you've stepped onto, the moment where this stops being content and becomes someone's life. You reach down and thumb the button. The red light dies. The silence that follows is heavier than the dark. The man watches you for a long moment, then exhales like you've just paid a toll. Okay, he says. Okay. He rubs his palm down his face, slow, like wiping away 5 years of dust. Then he points, not at you, not at the tunnel, but at the sandwich wrapper Rook dropped. That's why you're here, he says. Because he decided you were. Your throat works, words forming and dissolving. You've been living here, you finally say. The man gives a short, humorless breath. Not laughter, almost disbelief. Living, he repeats like tasting the word. Sure. He glances around at his shelter, the pallets, the tarp, the neat stacks of cans and bottled water, the old lantern, the careful order of someone who needs control because nothing else is controllable. You're the guy, you say, and hate yourself for how clumsy it sounds. The missing veteran. Rook's head lifts at the shift in your voice. His eyes lock on you again, warning and curiosity braided together. The man goes still. It's subtle, but you see it, the way his shoulders rise a fraction, the way his hand tightens on the pipe even though he hasn't lifted it. That's not my name, he says. You nod quickly. No, I mean, people were looking. There were posters, a case. 5 years ago. The man's gaze drops somewhere near your boots like he can see the timeline written in the dust. 5, he murmurs. Yeah, that sounds right. A drip lands somewhere in the darkness, a single note. You wait. You don't push. You don't fill the quiet with questions like a tourist. The man finally looks up. My name was Daniel, he says. Back when names mattered. He says it without drama. No swelling music, no tearful reveal, just a fact placed between you like a brick. Daniel. He glances at Rook, and for the first time you see something soften in him. And he's the only one who kept using it, Daniel adds. Even when I stopped answering. Rook huffs again, low and steady like he agrees. Your mind tries to build a picture. How a dog with a limp and scars ends up as a lifeline for a man the city forgot. How food appears down here. How water. How batteries. How anyone survives beneath a sealed station without being found. Where does he get it, you ask, nodding at the supplies. Daniel's lips press together. He works, Daniel says simply. You almost laugh. Not because it's funny, because it's absurd in a way that makes the world tilt. But then you remember the dog's calm focus, the deliberate way he led you, the wrapper placed gently like an offering. Rook isn't scavenging randomly. He has a route. He brings it to you, you say. Daniel's eyes flick to you sharply. You're not deaf, he mutters. You lift both hands slightly, palms open. I'm not judging. You're recording people's pain for strangers, Daniel cuts in, and the words land hard enough to bruise. Heat crawls up your neck. I turned it off, you say, and hear the defensive edge in your own voice. You hate that too. Daniel's stare holds you, unblinking. Doesn't matter, he says. It's already in you. That hunger. The station seems to lean closer, like it wants to hear your answer. You force yourself to breathe. Slowly, you let the moment pass through you instead of reacting to it. I started exploring because I liked the mystery, you say. The forgotten stuff, the hidden places. Your voice drops. Then it got bigger than me. Views, sponsors, people expecting, escalation. Daniel's expression doesn't change, but you feel the narrator's truth curling around the edges of the moment. You've told yourself a version of your own story that makes you feel clean. Down here, the story doesn't fit. Down here, you're a stranger with a bright light and a private urge to turn everything into a reveal. Rook limps forward, one slow step, and sniffs the air near your knee. Not aggressive, not friendly, investigative. You don't move. You let him. His breath is warm through the fabric of your pants. His nose is wet and cold. He smells like damp concrete and old rain, and faintly, like bread. When he pulls back, he looks up at you. There's a look in his eyes that makes your stomach twist. Expectation. Like he brought you here for a reason that isn't finished yet. Daniel sees it too. Don't get ideas, he says to the dog, voice gentler now, aimed at Rook instead of you. Rook's ears flick. He turns away, pads toward a gap in the shelter wall where the darkness opens into the larger station. Then he stops. He looks back at Daniel, and then at you, and then he moves, limping but determined, toward the platform, toward the rails, toward the deeper tunnel where your flashlight beam can't fully reach. He wants you to follow again. You feel it instantly. The pull, the next step in the story. Daniel's pipe lifts a fraction. Don't, he says, but his voice is different now. Not just warning. Something like fear wrapped around it. Rook disappears into the dark. The drip, drip, drip continues, steady as a countdown. What's down there, you ask? Daniel's jaw tightens. He looks like a man deciding whether to lie to you. You don't want to know, he says, but his eyes betray him, flicking again toward the tunnel, toward something he's been listening to all night, every night. You shift your stance just enough to relieve the tension in your legs, and the gravel crunches. Daniel flinches. Not at you, at the sound. He leans forward slightly, listening. The station answers. A noise far down the tunnel. Not a drip, not wind. A faint metallic scrape, then another. Your skin pebbles instantly. What was that? You whisper. Daniel's face drains of what little color it had. Too late, he says. He stands fast for a man who looked half asleep seconds ago. The pipe is in his hand. He reaches down and grabs a small bag from the side of the shelter, slinging it over his shoulder with practiced speed. Stay here, he orders, but you're already stepping after him because the darkness swallowed Rook. And because you realize something that makes your blood run cold, Rook doesn't limp like he's injured today. He limps like he's been injured for a long time, meaning he has survived down here like that, meaning whatever is making that scraping sound isn't new to him either. Daniel stops at the edge of the platform where the tunnel opens wide like a throat. He looks back at you, eyes sharp. If you go after him, he says, you don't get to pretend this was just curiosity. Your fingers tighten around your flashlight. Your throat feels packed with dust. You nod once. Daniel turns, steps into the darkness. You step off the makeshift shelter area and onto the open platform, and the air changes immediately, colder, sharper, as if the station is stripping warmth from you on purpose. Daniel moves ahead without looking back. Not running, not panicking, just fast enough to prove he's done this before. Your flashlight beam swings with your stride, catching flashes of the station's dead history, shattered tiles like teeth, a rusted bench half buried in grime, a station sign with only a few letters still clinging to it. The rest is eaten away by time. Rook is gone. That absence hits harder than the darkness. One moment he's your guide, your reason for being here. The next he's swallowed by the tunnel like he was never real at all. Then you hear it again, a scrape. Metal dragged across metal. It comes from the right tunnel. One of the two black mouths at either end of the platform. The sound is faint but deliberate, like something testing the edge of silence. Daniel stops so suddenly you almost bump him. He lifts one finger. Listen! Your breath turns careful, thin. The station seems to hold still around you. Even the dripping water feels like it slows. The scrape comes again, closer this time. Daniel angles his head, eyes narrowed, not toward the sound, but toward the shadows above the tracks where cables hang like dead vines and service ladders vanish into the ceiling. He's not tracking sound, he's tracking patterns. You follow his gaze. Your flashlight beam crawls upward. Dust falls like slow rain where the light touches it, glittering briefly before disappearing in the black. The ceiling arches high, old brick and steel beams with maintenance walkways that look too narrow for comfort. Something shifts up there, not a person-shaped movement. Smaller, quicker. Your spine prickles, Daniel whispers without turning his head. Kill the light! You hesitate. The beam is the only thing keeping the dark from pressing a hand over your mouth. Daniel's voice tightens. Now. You click the flashlight off. Instantly, the world becomes sound and smell. Metal, old water, the faint sour tang of damp concrete, and beneath it, a smell you didn't notice before because fear has its own filters. Rot. Not fresh, not close, but present, like a stain the air can't wash out. Then, soft, rhythmic, a chain rattle. Daniel's shoulder shifts. You hear the pipe in his hand tap lightly against his palm, controlled and ready. From the tunnel, something makes a different sound now. A sniff, wet, human-like, too close to the ground. Your skin tightens over your bones. You can't see anything, but your mind fills the dark anyway. Always does, always will. The imagination is a traitor in places like this. Then a shape emerges from the tunnel's mouth. low to the ground, just inside the faint ambient glow bleeding from far down the platform. It's a cart. A battered maintenance cart, half-collapsed wheels dragged forward a few inches at a time. Something is attached to it, chains looping around its frame. The links scrape against the rails with each tug. But you don't see what's pulling it. Not yet! Daniel mutters a single word you don't expect. Not a curse, not a warning. Again, like this is a ritual, like the tunnel repeats itself, the cart jerks forward, and for a split second, something pale flashes behind it. An arm? A leg? No, too thin, too quick. The cart stops, silence blooms, then another sniff closer. You realize you're holding your breath because you can't remember letting it go. Daniel shifts his weight, toes on the edge of the platform, ready to step down onto the tracks, ready to move toward the tunnel, toward whatever is pulling that cart. You grab his sleeve instinctively. His arm feels like wire under fabric. He doesn't look at you. "Don't touch me," he says, not loud but sharp with something old. You let go immediately. "I'm sorry," you whisper. He finally glances back, just enough for you to see his eyes in the dark. They're focused but not calm. A man can be trained and still be terrified. "That's not for you," he murmurs. "That sound, that routine, it's how you end up staying." The words hit wrong. Staying, not dying, not getting hurt. Staying, like the station keeps you. From deep in the tunnel, a new sound cuts through the scrape and chain rattle. A soft whine. A dog. Rook. The sound is distant, muffled by the tunnel's curve, but unmistakable. It isn't fear alone. It's effort, strain, like he's pulling against something bigger than his limbs should allow. Daniel's body reacts before his mind finishes thinking. He steps off the platform onto the tracks. Your foot follows automatically! Then you stop yourself, heel hovering. The track bed is uneven, full of loose ballast that shifts under weight. The rails are slick with old moisture. A misstep here means twisted ankles, broken wrists, panic in a tunnel that doesn't care. Daniel moves anyway, sure-footed like someone who's memorized every stone. You step down after him. The cold bites through your shoes. The smell of metal grows stronger. Your eyes begin to adjust, just enough to make the darkness less total, more textured. The tunnel mouth looms ahead, and the cart sits just inside it now, half in shadow. Daniel raises the pipe slightly. "Rook," he calls. Not loud, controlled. A call meant to travel without waking the wrong things. No answer, just that distant whine again, softer now, like it's fading. Daniel moves faster. You match him. And then something shifts beside the cart. A figure unfolds from the dark, too thin, too long-limbed, moving with a jerky, almost broken rhythm. For a second, your mind refuses to label it as human, because human movement isn't supposed to look like that. Your flashlight is still off, but your camera screen glows faintly as it catches a little ambient light. In that dim glow, you catch a glint. Eyes, reflective, animal bright. Then a voice, sudden and close, comes from the tunnel's edge. Daniel? You freeze so hard it feels like your muscles lock. The voice is cracked, youngish, but worn. Not a tunnel creature, not a ghost. Human. Daniel stops too, pipe still raised, his whole body snapping into a defensive stance. A second figure steps forward, hands raised. It's a kid. Not a kid. Late teens maybe, hoodie soaked at the sleeves, face smudged with grime. His cheeks are hollow like he forgets meals. His eyes are wide and frantic, darting between Daniel and you. Behind him, deeper in the tunnel, something yanks the chain. The cart scrapes again, loud enough to make the tunnel ring. The kid flinches. It's back, he blurts. It's dragging again. I tried to stop it, but Daniel's voice turns to stone. Eli! The kid's name lands heavy. So Daniel isn't alone down here. Your stomach twists as the implication snaps into place. This station isn't just a secret shelter. It's a hidden ecosystem. People, routines, rules, dangers you don't understand. Eli's eyes flick to you. Who's that? Daniel doesn't answer him. His focus is on the tunnel behind Eli. Where's Rook? Daniel asks. Eli swallows hard. He went after it. He wouldn't stop. He thinks. The kid's voice wobbles, then hardens like he's forcing it steady. He thinks it's taking the food again. Food. That single word changes the shape of the fear. This isn't random haunting. This is survival. Show me, Daniel says. Eli hesitates, then nods, turning deeper into the tunnel. Daniel starts forward. You follow because you can't not. Because the dog that brought you here is somewhere ahead, and because you've just met a second person living under the city who knows Daniel's name like it matters. And then Eli says something over his shoulder that makes your blood run colder than the rails beneath your feet. It comes when the train's used to, he whispers. Same time, same sound, like it remembers. The tunnel narrows ahead. Darkness thickens. The tunnel squeezes in around you like the city is closing its fist. Your shoulders brush damp brick. Your shoes find uneven ground, old ballast. Broken ties, debris that shifts and clicks under every step. Eli walks first, hunched like he's learned exactly where the ceiling drops low enough to crack a skull. Daniel follows close behind him, pipe in hand, moving with a tense efficiency that doesn't match the frail shelter you just saw. You come last, because you're the only one who still thinks about turning back. But the dog's whine threads through the dark again, thin, strained, unmistakably Rook, and something in you tightens like a knot pulled too hard. You keep moving. Eli glances back, eyes reflecting what little glow leaks in from the platform behind you. Don't use your light, he whispers. I'm not, you whisper back. Not even a little, he insists, voice shaking with urgency. It likes light. That sentence hangs in your head like a hook. It likes light. You think about every exploration video you've ever filmed, the way your beam sweeps across forgotten rooms like a finger pointing at secrets. Down here, your flashlight isn't a tool, it's bait. Ahead, the tunnel bends, and the air changes, warmer, thicker, layered with smoke that isn't smoke, just the scent of something burned long ago and never fully cleared. A faint draft slides against your face as if the tunnel is exhaling. Daniel stops and lifts a hand. Eli freezes instantly. You freeze too, late by half a second! Somewhere ahead, chains rattle again, closer now, louder, scraping across rail with a sound that makes your teeth ache. Then a heavy thump, like something dragging a dead weight over a tie. Daniel leans in toward Eli, voice so low you barely catch it. Where is it doing it from? He asks. Eli swallows. The old platform, the one with the sealed stairs. Daniel's jaw tightens like a muscle remembering pain. He looks back at you for the first time in minutes. If you keep following, he says quietly, you do what I say. No hero moves. No sudden noise. You nod, because nodding costs less than speaking. The tunnel opens. Not into a full station, into a pocket of space where the ceiling rises and the walls pull back, revealing a narrow service platform that runs beside the tracks. It's older than the one you came from. Cruder. Built before safety standards cared about humans. Rusted piping veins the walls. A ladder climbs into darkness towards some unseen maintenance hatch. Your eyes adjust enough to make shapes out of shadow, and that's when you see the cart. It's wedged crookedly between the tracks and the platform edge, as if it was pulled fast and left there. Chains loop around it like restraints that failed. The cart's metal frame is dented inward, as if something slammed into it repeatedly. Eli points, fingers trembling. It pulled it out of there, he whispers. He nods toward a dark alcove to the right, a cutout in the wall where tools might have been stored decades ago. The opening is low, almost like a crawl space. Daniel steps closer, careful. Then you hear Rook. Not a whine now, a growl. Low and steady, vibrating through the dark like a warning siren held in the chest of something small but fearless. Your gaze snaps left. Rook stands on the narrow service platform ahead, body angled sideways so he can brace despite the limp. His scars catch the faint ambient glow like pale lines drawn on muscle. His head is lowered. His lips are peeled back, not in wild aggression, but in that controlled, protective way that says, I will not let you pass. And he's facing something you can't fully see. A shape crouched near the cart, half hidden by shadow, shoulders moving as it tugs the chain with slow insistence. It's human-shaped, but wrong in the way hunger can make a person wrong. Too thin, too sharp. Movements that are both cautious and compulsive. The shape pauses, a sniff, then the head lifts slightly, like a dog catching a scent. You realize with a sick jolt that it's sniffing you. Daniel steps forward, pipe raised. Back up, he says, voice hard. The shape doesn't flinch. Instead, it speaks. Danny, it rasps. The voice is older than Eli's. Rawer, like it's been scraped down to bone. Daniel freezes. That single syllable, Danny, cuts through him in a way nothing else has. It's not fear you see on his face now. It's history. Eli's breath catches beside you. That's him, he whispers, barely audible. That's the one who takes it. Daniel's hand tightens on the pipe, his knuckles pale. Don't, Daniel says again, but this time it sounds like he's talking to himself, like he's warning his own past not to step forward. The crouched figure drags the chain once more, slow and deliberate, pulling the cart an inch. Metal screams softly against rail. Rook snaps forward a half step, growl deepening. The figure flinches at Rook's movement, but not like someone afraid of a dog, like someone annoyed by an obstacle. Then it leans forward, and your stomach drops as your eyes catch the detail that changes everything. The figure's wrists are wrapped in strips of cloth. Not bandages, restraints. The cloth is frayed, darkened, knotted tight like someone once tied them up and left them that way, like the tunnel kept them. The figure turns its head toward you, and the faintest glimmer catches in its eyes. Not reflective like an animal, just wet, human wet. And then it smiles. It's not a friendly smile. It's the kind that shows you it has teeth. You brought someone, it says, voice scraping. You brought a light. Daniel's shoulders stiffen. Eli takes one involuntary step back. The figure's gaze slides to Rook. The smile falters, twisting. And you still have your mutt, it mutters, like Rook is an insult. Rook lunges, not to bite, but to snap his jaws in the air inches from the figure's face. A warning strike, a line drawn. The figure jerks back, startled despite itself, and the chain slips from its fingers with a metallic clatter. That clatter is the loudest sound you've heard yet. It rings through the tunnel. And answers come back. From deeper darkness behind the figure, you hear movement, shuffling, scraping, a low murmur like someone talking to themselves. Not one sound, multiple. Eli's eyes widen. There's more, he breathes. Daniel's face goes tight and grim, like he's reached a conclusion he didn't want to reach. Rook, Daniel says sharply. One word, a command wrapped in care. Rook doesn't move away. He doesn't abandon his position. Instead, he shifts sideways, still between you and the crouched figure, but closer to Daniel now, tightening the protective triangle. The crouched figure tilts its head, listening to the new sounds behind it. For the first time, you see fear flicker in its expression too. Not fear of you, fear of whatever is deeper in the tunnel. Its eyes dart toward the alcove again, toward the low crawl space. And you understand, suddenly, why the cart exists, why the chain exists, why this happens on a schedule, like trains used to. It's not coming here for you, it's coming here to feed something else. The figure reaches for the chain again, frantic now, fingers fumbling. Daniel steps forward, pipe raised high. No, he says, voice like a door slamming shut. The figure's head snaps up, a beat of stillness. Then, without warning, it throws the chain at Rook's legs. The links whip through the air with a sharp metallic hiss. Rook yelps as the chain catches his bad leg and tangles, pulling it sideways. His body stumbles, weight collapsing for a second. Your entire body surges forward instinctively. Daniel barks, "Don't!" Too late, you take one step toward Rook. The crouched figure's eyes lock on you, and in that instant, the old station's darkness behind it seems to move, like the tunnel is opening its mouth wider. A hand appears from the crawl space. Then another. "Not reaching for you! Reaching for the cart! Dragging it inward!" The chain tightens with a jerk strong enough to make the cart screech and twist. Rook scrambles, fighting the chain, claws skittering against metal. Daniel swings the pipe down, slamming it into the chain links with a loud clang. Sparks jump in the dark like brief stars. The crouched figure recoils, hissing, but the hands from the crawl space keep pulling. The cart slides toward the opening, and with it, Rook's tangled leg is being dragged too. Your stomach drops through the floor. Rook, your guide, the gentle scarred guardian, gets pulled a few inches toward that low black hole. His eyes flick up to you. Not pleading, commanding, do something. The world compresses into one brutal choice. Follow Daniel's rules and watch the tunnel take the dog, or break them and risk becoming something the station keeps. You move. Not a heroic leap, not a cinematic sprint, just one instinctive step that happens before fear can file the paperwork. Gravel shifts under your shoe and the sound is small, but the tunnel reacts like you've fired a gun. The hands in the crawl space yank harder. The cart screeches forward another inch, metal shrieking against rail. The chain bites tight around Rook's bad leg, and he lets out a sharp, furious sound. More anger than pain, then digs his front paws in, shoulders bunching as he fights the pull with everything he's got. Daniel snaps toward you like you're the problem now. His eyes blaze in the dim glow, and for a split second you see what he's really afraid of, not the thing tugging the chain. The rule breaking, the ripple, the way the station punishes sudden human decisions. "Don't!" he hisses again, but it's already done. Your body is already angled forward, hands lifting as if you can catch the chain with bare fingers and stop it by will alone. Eli's whisper tears out beside you. "Rook!" The crouched figure by the cart jerks its head toward the crawl space as the pull intensifies. Its thin face tightens, teeth showing. It doesn't look like it wants Rook dragged in. It looks like it wants Rook dragged in fast, like it's trying to pay a debt before something gets impatient. Daniel lunges. Not at the figure, not at the crawl space, at the chain. He drops the pipe, grabs the links with both hands and hauls back. The metal bites into his palms instantly. You hear the wet scrape of skin tearing against rust. He doesn't flinch. He plants his boots on a tie and leans his whole weight backward, body becoming an anchor. "Help!" he grunts through clenched teeth, like the word tastes like poison. That's your permission. You grab the chain behind his hands, wrapping the links around your forearm for leverage. Cold metal shocks you through your sleeve. It's heavier than you expected, alive with tension like a cable under load. You pull. The chain shudders. The cart jerks in place. The hands in the crawl space tug again, and the strain snaps through your arms into your shoulders, a brutal tug of war with something you can't see. Rook scrambles, twisting his body to keep his chest and front legs braced. His claws scrape, searching for grip. For a second, he looks less like a dog and more like a creature built for one purpose: hold the line! Eli rushes in from the side, hands shaking, trying to get the chain off Rook's leg without getting bit by panic or metal. He fumbles, finger slipping. The chain is looped wrong, tight around the ankle, twisted under itself like it was thrown to tangle. Easy, you whisper, not to Eli, not to Daniel, to Rook. Rook's eyes flick to you. He doesn't snap. He doesn't thrash. He steadies, holding still just enough for Eli to work. That stillness is the gentlest thing you've seen down here. Daniel yanks again, and this time you feel it. Something gives, not much, a fraction. The cart slides back a half inch. A hiss erupts from the crouched figure. No, it spits, voice wet with desperation. No, no, no. It scrambles forward, grabbing the chain nearer the cart, trying to yank it the other way, but Daniel swings his shoulder and slams into it. The figure stumbles, hits the wall, shoulder cracking against brick. It doesn't scream. It laughs, breathless and ugly, like pain is a joke it learned early. You brought him! It wheezes, eyes wild. You brought a witness. Daniel's voice turns flat and lethal. Shut up, Mason. Mason, a name, a person, not a tunnel creature, not a faceless threat, a man with a name Daniel has said before, even if only in nightmares. Eli's fingers finally find the right angle. He pries at the chain loop, face contorted with effort. Hold still, buddy! Hold still! Rook's body trembles, but he doesn't bolt. He doesn't turn on Eli. He just stares at the crawl space, growl rumbling low like a warning meant for whatever lives inside. The hands in the crawl space pause. For one terrible heartbeat, everything stops. The chain slackens slightly. You feel hope flicker quick and dangerous. Then something deeper in the crawl space shifts. A heavier movement. A slow drag, like something large repositioning itself. And a sound comes out that makes your bones feel hollow. Not a voice, a breath. Long, wet, patient, like something that has been waiting for the next delivery. Mason's face changes instantly. His grin collapses into fear. He scrambles backward on hands and knees, eyes locked on the crawl space opening. It's awake, he whispers. Daniel's grip tightens. Eli, now! Eli yanks. The chain slips half free, still tight but loosening. Rook jerks his leg back and snarls. But it's not at you, not at Eli, at the black hole in the wall. You pull again with Daniel, trying to rip the chain away from the cart entirely. The hands in the crawl space return, faster now, furious. Fingers clamp onto the cart's frame, dragging it forward with renewed violence. The cart slams against the platform edge. Metal rings! Dust bursts into the air like a cough. Daniel's boots skid. Your arm jolts. Pain lances through your shoulder as the chain snaps tight again. Eli slips on the ballast and nearly falls, catching himself with one hand on the wall, the other still fighting the chain. Mason crawls toward the alcove like he can't help himself, like his body is magnetized to whatever's in there. No, Daniel barks, and his voice cracks something in the air. Get away from it! Mason's head whips around, eyes shining. You don't understand, he pants. If it doesn't get fed, it comes out. It comes out and it... He cuts off because the crawl space answers him. A low scraping sound, closer than before. Something presses against the edge of the opening from the inside. Not a hand. A shoulder? A back? Something broad and slick in the darkness, shifting as if trying to fit through a space not meant for it. The smell intensifies, damp rot and old grease, and something like pennies left too long in a fist. Eli's voice breaks. Daniel, please. Daniel's face is a mask made of anger and regret. You don't look at it, he says to Eli, and the command is absolute. You don't let it know you're thinking about it. That's when you realize Daniel has rules for this, like you have rules for filming, angles, distances, don'ts that keep you alive. And he learned them the hard way. Rook lunges. Not into the crawl space, toward the cart. He bites the chain itself, clamping his jaws down and wrenching sideways with a savage twist. His teeth grind against metal. He uses his whole body, scars flexing, shoulders shaking with effort. It's insane. It's brilliant. The chain shifts enough, just enough, that Eli finally gets the loop off Rook's ankle. Rook yanks free and staggers back, limping hard now, then plants himself again between you and the opening, hackles raised. Eli stumbles backward, breathing ragged, eyes wide with relief that he doesn't allow himself to celebrate. Daniel doesn't let go, neither do you. The cart jerks forward again as the crawlspace hands pull, but now the chain is no longer anchored by Rook's leg. The only thing resisting is you, human flesh and stubbornness. Daniel grits out, pull! You pull with him, arms burning, forearm going numb beneath the chain's bite. The links cut into your sleeve. You feel warm wetness where rust meets skin. The cart slides. Back. An inch. 2. Mason shrieks. Stop! You can't! Daniel slams his elbow into Mason's chest, knocking him flat. Not to hurt him, to stop him from grabbing the chain again. Mason wheezes, clutching his ribs, eyes frantic. Danny, please don't do this. Don't call me that, Daniel snarls. The cart is almost out of the crawl space's reach now. The hands stretch, fingers splaying, grasping at air. For a moment, you think you've won. Then something else happens. From deeper in the tunnel, behind you, far down the track bed where the service platform ends, you hear a sound you didn't notice before because you were drowning in chain and panic. A rhythmic clack. Clack, 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 like footsteps, but wrong, too evenly spaced, too patient. Like something that learned to walk by listening to trains. Eli turns his head instinctively toward the sound. Daniel snaps. Eli, no! Too late. Eli's gaze locks down the tunnel, and you see the moment his brain tries to interpret what his eyes are catching in near darkness. A shape, tall, standing on the far edge of your weak ambient glow, just beyond where the tunnel dips. It doesn't move like Mason. It doesn't twitch. It doesn't scramble. It stands still, perfectly balanced, as if it's been waiting for the exact second someone would look. Eli's lips part, silent. Rook's growl changes pitch. Lower, deeper, a warning with weight behind it. Daniel's whole body goes rigid, like his nervous system recognizes something his mind refuses to name. You shouldn't have looked, Daniel whispers, and the words come out heavy, crushed. The tall shape tilts its head slowly, and in that tiny motion, you understand what Daniel meant when he said, you don't let it know you're thinking about it. Because the moment you recognize it as something, anything, you give it a door inside you. The clack starts again, closer. Clack, clack, clack! Mason, on the ground, begins to sob, quiet, broken. It's coming out, he whispers. It's coming out because you didn't feed it. Daniel's eyes dart to the cart. He makes a decision so fast it's almost invisible. He loosens his grip. Just a fraction! The cart slides forward an inch toward the crawl space again. Mason gasps, relief and terror at once. Eli whispers, No! Daniel's jaw tightens until you think his teeth might crack. You want him? Daniel mutters toward the darkness. You want the cart? His voice is low, controlled, like a man negotiating with a storm. The tall shape in the tunnel doesn't answer with words. It answers by stepping forward into the faint glow, and for one nauseating second, your mind refuses the image. Because it looks like a man wearing the remains of an old transit uniform, dark fabric clinging in strips, reflective bands dulled by grime. A cap sits crooked on a head that seems too still. But the face is not right. The features sit in the wrong places, like they were assembled by memory instead of biology. Eyes too far apart, a mouth that doesn't move with breath, skin that shines faintly, wet-looking like it never dries down here. Rook barks once, sharp and explosive. The thing pauses, as if considering the sound. Then it takes another step. Clack, and you realize what the clack is. Not shoes, a metal cane, striking the rail with each step like a conductor calling time. Daniel's voice drops to a whisper. You feel more than here! 5 years, he says, and there's a shiver of confession in it. It wasn't the cold that kept me. It was that. Your arms are still wrapped in chain. The cart is still between you and the crawl space. Rook stands ready, trembling with fury and loyalty. Eli looks like he's about to collapse. And the tall thing in the tunnel keeps coming, slowly, deliberately, like it knows you're trapped in a place that doesn't exist on any map. You try to pull the chain again. Daniel clamps a bloody hand over your forearm. Not yet, he breathes. The tall thing tilts its head again. And you swear, just for an instant, you hear the faintest echo of an old station announcement in the back of your skull. Arriving, on schedule, Daniel's hand clamps your forearm like a vice, and you feel the heat of his blood through your sleeve. Sticky, real. The chain is still wrapped around you, still humming with tension, but his grip says one thing, wait. Not because waiting is safe, because moving at the wrong time is worse. The tall thing keeps approaching, slow, measured. The metal cane taps the rail with each step like it's counting you down. Clack, 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 the sound crawls into your teeth. Rook plants himself between you and the tunnel, front legs braced wide. His bad leg shakes, but he refuses to lift it. His growl is a continuous low vibration, not frantic, not uncertain, pure refusal. Eli stands with his back against the wall, eyes too wide to blink properly. You can see it in his posture. He's trying not to think, trying not to give the thing a doorway. Mason is still on the ground, half curled, whispering prayers and bargains under his breath like he's been doing it for years. Daniel shifts his stance, blocking Eli with his body without looking like he's doing it. Then he releases your arm and steps forward alone, not toward the crawl space, toward the approaching figure. Your instincts flare, screaming at you to grab him, to pull him back, to do anything but let him walk into that schedule, made flesh. But Daniel moves with a deliberate calm that feels rehearsed. He's done this before. He stops at the edge of the ambient light. Just far enough that the thing's face is still blurred by shadow. Just close enough that the cane's tapping stops. Silence expands. Even the drip of water seems to hesitate. Daniel speaks first. "Not tonight," he says, voice low and flat, like a man reading a rule off a wall. The tall thing doesn't respond right away. Its head tilts, small, precise, like it's listening to more than sound. Like it's tasting Daniel's thoughts in the air. Rook growls louder. The tall thing's gaze slides down to Rook, then back to Daniel, and you see the faintest twitch at the corner of its mouth, as if it's trying to remember how expressions work. Then it speaks. Not loud, not human warm, but clear. "Late," it says. One word, stretched thin. The voice sounds like it's been filtered through metal grates and old announcements. Daniel doesn't flinch. "We're not on your clock." The thing's cane taps once against the rail. Clack, and the sound feels like an argument won. "Always," it says. Your stomach drops because you realize this isn't a threat. It's a rule, a statement of ownership. Daniel nods slightly, as if acknowledging the rule without surrendering to it. He gestures at the cart with his chin. "You want that?" he says. "Take it and go." Mason's head snaps up at the word go. His eyes shine with desperate hope. Eli's lips part as if to protest, then clamp shut again, like he's afraid speech itself will summon something. The tall thing doesn't move toward the cart. Instead, it turns its head slow, deliberate, toward you. Not at your face, at your chest. At the faint glow of your camera screen you forgot to dim completely. Your pulse spikes. The thing takes one step toward you. Clack! Your hand twitches toward your flashlight without thinking. Daniel's voice slices through the air. "No light! You freeze mid-reach!" The thing's head tilts again, and for a moment you swear you hear something ghostly under its breath, like a half-formed station announcement, a cadence without words. Then it smiles. It is the wrongest thing it could do, because the smile isn't hungry. It's pleased, like it has just confirmed something about you. "You came," it says, and the way it says it makes your skin tighten. Not curiosity, not surprise. Like you were expected. Daniel's jaw clenches. He doesn't belong here. The tall thing's eyes wet, too reflective in the dim. "Don't leave your camera glow. Witness," it says softly. Mason lets out a thin, broken sound. Daniel's shoulders lift a fraction, like he's bracing for impact. "No!" The tall thing taps the cane again. Clack! And behind you, from the crawl space, the hands grab the cart and yank hard. Metal screams. The cart jolts toward the opening, trying to escape your control. Your body reacts on instinct. You and Daniel both grab the chain again, pulling back. It's a violent tug, and pain sparks through your forearm where rust has already started carving lines into your skin. Rook barks once, sharp, and lunges, not into the crawl space, but toward the cart's edge, biting down on the frame to keep it from sliding. Eli scrambles forward, then stops short as Daniel shoots him a look that pins him in place. Eli swallows, holding his breath like it's a shield. The tall thing watches this struggle like it's watching a performance it already knows the ending to. Then it speaks again, voice almost gentle. "Trade," it says. Daniel's head snaps up. "No! Trade," it repeats, and this time the word has weight, a demand made to sound like an option. Daniel's eyes harden. "You don't get that anymore!" The tall thing angles its head, like it's puzzled by refusal. Then it lifts its free hand slowly, empty palm up, like it's offering something. In the dim, you see something dangling from its fingers. A dog tag chain. 2 metal tags, they sway slightly with the station's draft, catching faint light as they move. Daniel's entire body goes still. Not stiff, still like time has stopped using him. Your chest tightens because you don't understand how a thing like this would have that, how it could know which bait to use. Eli whispers, barely audible. "Those are." Daniel's voice comes out rougher than before. "Where'd you get that?" The tall thing doesn't answer. It just lets the tag sway, back and forth like a pendulum. Rook's growl deepens into something almost feral. He senses it too, the change in Daniel, the weakness opening. Daniel takes a half step forward without meaning to. The cane taps. Clack! The tall thing's smile widens. "You owe," it says, and the station seems to repeat the words in the walls. Daniel's throat works like he's swallowing broken glass. Mason's eyes dart between the tags and Daniel, and you see the realization hit him like a punch. "Oh," he whispers. "Oh, that's why you stayed." Daniel's gaze doesn't leave the tags. Eli's voice trembles. "Daniel, don't!" Daniel doesn't answer him. He breathes in once, slow and shallow, like he's trying not to inhale the whole past. Then he does something that makes her stomach flip. He loosens his grip on the chain. Not completely, just enough that the cart slides forward an inch toward the crawl space. Rook snarls, body tightening, resisting, but the pull from the hands intensifies. Greedy now, desperate. Eli makes a small sound, like a sob trapped behind teeth. The tall thing watches the cart move, then looks at Daniel again. The tags still sway. "More," it says. Daniel's mouth tightens, and you realize what's happening in the space between them, the invisible math of it. Food keeps the crawl space satisfied. Witnesses feed something else. And Daniel is being measured in debts. Your mind races trying to find a way out that doesn't involve sacrifice. You glance at Rook. He glances at you. His eyes are steady, alert, almost instructive. He shifts his weight, then turns his head slightly toward a side passage you hadn't noticed. A narrow maintenance cutout half hidden behind a column, choked with dangling cables and darkness. A route, a way around. Rook takes one limping step toward it, then looks back again. He's telling you something without sound. Not this way, another way. Daniel doesn't see. He can't. His eyes are locked on the tags. The tall thing lifts the tags higher, closer to Daniel's face. Trade! It whispers again, and the word feels like a chain. Daniel's shoulders sag a fraction, the kind of sag that comes right before surrender. And you understand, in a flash so sharp it hurts. This is Daniel's worst-case scenario. Not being found, not being hurt. Being forced to choose between the only life he's built down here and the debt that dragged him underground in the first place. You shift your stance toward the hidden side passage, just an inch. Rook moves with you, limping but ready. Eli notices the motion and flicks his eyes to you, confused. Daniel doesn't. Mason does, and Mason's smile, small, ugly, creeps back onto his face because he sees a new possibility, a new offering, and he wants it. He whispers toward the tall thing, voice trembling with devotion. I can bring you the witness, Mason says. I can. Daniel's head snaps toward him with a violence that shocks you. Try, Daniel growls, but Mason is already moving, crawling faster than you'd think he could, scrambling toward your legs with desperate hands. Rook explodes forward. Not to kill! To stop! He slams his shoulder into Mason's chest and knocks him sideways, teeth flashing in a warning snap, inches from Mason's face. Mason recoils, shrieking, clutching his ribs again. And the tall thing in the tunnel, it laughs, a sound like old speakers crackling with static. Schedule, it murmurs. The cane taps once. Clack! And the hands in the crawl space yank the cart so hard the chain burns across your forearm and you nearly lose your grip. Rook snarls, bracing. Daniel curses under his breath, finally ripping his eyes away from the tags long enough to look at the cart, at the crawl space, at you, at Rook, at the choice he's been missing. You lock eyes with him and you don't say it. You show it by shifting again toward the side passage Rook indicated. Daniel's gaze follows. For the first time, you see the smallest crack of hope appear in his expression. A plan, a way to refuse the trade. But the tall thing steps forward, blocking the tunnel line like a conductor stepping onto tracks, and in its hand, those dog tags sway one last time, like a warning, like a promise, like something Daniel might still chase if you don't move right now. Daniel stares at the dog tags like they're a doorway back into a life he's been pretending he doesn't miss. The tall thing holds them steady, patient as a timetable. Rook's body vibrates with a warning you can feel in your knees. He doesn't bark again. He doesn't waste sound. His eyes stay on Daniel, sharp, pleading without being weak. And you understand something with sudden clarity. Rook didn't lead you here for content. He led you here because Daniel can't beat this alone. The crawl space hands yank. The cart jolts forward hard enough to slam the chain against the rail. Your forearm flares with heat where rust has torn skin. Daniel flinches. Not from the pain, but from the reminder that the station is still hungry, still pulling. That snaps him out of it. Daniel's eyes flick from the tags to the cart, then to Rook, then to you, like he's lining up the present in his head, piece by piece, forcing it to be heavier than the past. He makes a sound that isn't a word, a clipped exhale. Decision! Eli, he says, voice tight. Cover your ears. Eli blinks, confused. What? Now, Daniel snaps. Eli obeys instantly, palms clamping over his ears, shoulders hunching like he's bracing for a blast. Mason looks up, eyes glassy. Danny, don't! Daniel doesn't look at him. He looks at you. No light, he says again, softer now, like it's not just a rule, it's a lifeline. And when I say run, you run. Your throat goes dry. You nod once. Rook pivots and takes one limping step toward the narrow side passage, then another, testing the space like he's mapping it in real time. Hanging cables brush his back. Dust shakes loose and drifts around his shoulders like smoke. The tall thing notices. Its head turns slowly, tracking Rook's movement. The cane taps. Clack! The station seems to inhale. Where are you going? The tall thing asks, and the voice carries a faint echo of old announcements. Too clean for a throat, too precise for lungs. Daniel steps sideways, placing himself between the tall thing and the side passage. Not your stop, Daniel says. The tall thing's gaze slides back to the dog tags in its hand, then to Daniel, and the smile returns, thin and satisfied. "Oh!" it repeats, like it's savoring the word. Behind you, the crawlspace hands jerk the cart again, impatient, and the chain bites deeper. You grit your teeth and pull back, keeping it from sliding fully into the opening. Daniel doesn't go to help you. Instead, he bends down and picks up the pipe he dropped earlier. The metal is cold in his hands. He adjusts his grip like he's held a weapon before, like muscle memory can still be trusted, even when everything else is rotten. He raises the pipe, not at the tall thing, at the cane. The tall thing pauses, as if it's offended by the implication. "You don't," it says. Daniel's voice is almost gentle. "Watch me." He swings. The pipe connects with the cane in a clean, brutal strike. The sound that explodes out of the impact isn't just metal on metal, it's wrong. A shriek of feedback, like 100 ancient speakers screaming at once. A flare of static that makes the air feel electric, like your hair wants to lift from your scalp. The tunnel lights, dead for decades, flicker faintly somewhere far away, blinking like dying eyes. Eli squeezes his ears harder, face contorting. Mason screams. And the tall thing, it staggers. Not like a man losing balance, like a signal losing coherence. Its head jerks, its shoulders twitch. For one terrifying second, its face looks like it's trying to remember which shape to hold. The dog tags slip from its fingers and clatter onto the ballast. Daniel lunges for them instinctively, then stops himself. You see it, the old habit, the old weakness, and the new restraint winning by a fraction. He doesn't grab them, he kicks them hard. The tags skitter across the stones and vanish into the darkness off to the side, swallowed like everything else down here. The tall thing makes a sound you'll never forget, half static, half rage. The cane drops. It reaches for it, fingers twitching like broken wires. Daniel turns sharply. "Move!" That's not run yet. That's reposition. You yank the chain off your forearm in a quick twist, ignoring the sting, and grab it with both hands again, pulling the cart backward while Daniel steps to the side passage entrance, body angled as a shield. Rook limps forward into the side passage, then stops and looks back at you, eyes bright in the dim like he's counting heads. Eli drops his hands from his ears, blinking like he just surfaced from underwater. "What did you?" he gasps. "No questions!" Daniel snaps. "Go!" Eli moves, stumbling toward the side passage, nearly tripping over the chain. Rook shifts aside to let him through, then pushes his nose against Eli's hip, guiding, urging. Mason scrambles up, wild-eyed. "You broke it," he wheezes. "You broke the schedule." The tall thing twitches, then straightens again, recovering its balance in small mechanical increments. Its head tilts toward Daniel, and it speaks with a new tone. "Not pleased! Not bargaining! Punishing!" "Off route," it says. The cane isn't in its hand anymore, but the air still feels like it's tapping time. Like the station keeps rhythm even when the instrument breaks. The crawlspace hands yank the cart suddenly, violent, furious, and you lose ground. The cart slides toward the opening, and you feel the chain rip across your palm like a blade. Rook whips around, snarling, and lunges at the chain again, jaws clamping down to wrench it sideways. Daniel grabs the cart frame and hauls back with you. Eli, trembling, joins in from behind, hands shaking but determined. For one brief moment, all three of you pull together. The cart slides back an inch. "Two! Enough!" Daniel barks. "D-Rop it! You let go!" It feels like letting go of the only anchor you had. The cart slams forward into the crawl space like it's being swallowed by a mouth. Hands vanish with it, dragging it inward. The chain rattles, then disappears into darkness with a final metallic scream. Silence hits so hard it makes your ears ring. Mason laughs, high and hysterical. "Good," he whispers. "Good. Now it's fed." Now it won't. The tall thing snaps its gaze to Mason. For the first time, Mason stops laughing. The tall thing steps toward him. No cane now, but its footfalls still make that same steady clack, as if the sound is coming from the rails themselves. Clack! Clack! Mason backs away, hands up. "No! No! I did what you wanted! The tall thing doesn't touch him!" It simply leans closer, face inches from Mason's, and whispers something too soft for you to hear. Mason's eyes roll back in fear so pure, it looks like his soul is trying to climb out through his throat. He nods rapidly, sobbing. Then he points. "At you!" A shaking finger stabbing through the darkness like betrayal made flesh. "There," Mason whimpers. "Take him! Take the witness!" "Take!" Daniel's voice detonates. "Eli, go!" Eli bolts into the side passage. Rook follows, limping fast, turning once to make sure you're coming. Daniel grabs your sleeve and yanks you toward the passage with a force that nearly dislocates your shoulder. You stumble into the narrow cutout, cables whipping your face, dust blasting into your lungs. The passage angles upward slightly, cramped and jagged, a maintenance artery never meant for fleeing humans. Behind you, the tall thing speaks one last word, calm, certain. "Next." And the station answers deep in the walls with a sound like distant doors unlocking. Daniel shoves you forward. "Don't stop," he growls. "No matter what you hear, you move." Rook limps ahead, leading again, not lost at all. Purposeful, relentless. Eli is just beyond him, breath ragged, whispering, "Where does this go? Where does this go?" And then, behind you, a new sound rises so low it's almost felt instead of heard. A rumble, not from a train, from something shifting in the tunnels, as if the station itself is rerouting. The side passage twists upward, then sideways, then down again, like it was designed by someone who never meant for people to move through it fast. Cables scrape your shoulders, rust flakes rain into your eyes and mouth. Every breath tastes like old metal in panic. The space is so narrow you have to turn your body sideways in places, ribs brushing concrete, backpacks snagging on bolts that bite and don't let go without a fight. Rook limps ahead of you, determined, stubborn, refusing to slow even when his bad leg buckles for half a step. He catches himself every time. Keeps going. Eli stumbles behind him, whispering under his breath like a prayer he doesn't believe will work. Daniel is at your back, one hand on your shoulder, steering you when the passage suddenly drops or narrows. You don't look back, not because you're brave, but because the sound behind you makes your stomach crawl. The rumble deepens. It isn't a train. It isn't footsteps. It's a rearranging. Stone groans. Metal screams softly. Somewhere far below, something heavy slides into place with a dull, final thud. The station isn't collapsing. It's adapting. Rook skids to a stop so suddenly you nearly crash into him. He plants himself sideways across the passage, blocking it with his body, chest heaving, his ears flatten, his head lowers. Daniel curses under his breath. "What is it, boy?" Rook doesn't growl. He whines, soft, urgent. The sound a dog makes when the danger isn't behind you, but ahead. You shine your flashlight before you can stop yourself. The beam cuts through dust and reveals the end of the passage. A wall, solid concrete, newly poured, smooth, pale, wrong against the ancient brick around it. It seals the passage completely, as if it was never meant to be there. Daniel inhales sharply. It rerouted us. Eli presses his palms to the wall like it might give way if he asks hard enough. "No, no, this was open, I swear!" The rumble behind you grows louder, closer. Rook turns in a tight circle, nose working fast, then limps past you toward a gap you missed, a vertical shaft half hidden behind a bundle of cables, no wider than a man's shoulders. Cold air leaks from it, carrying a scent that doesn't belong underground. Rain. Fresh, alive. Rook noses the edge, then looks back at you, eyes bright despite the dark. This. Daniel sees it instantly. "That's not on any map," he mutters. Eli laughs. A sharp, hysterical sound. "Nothing down here is." The rumble swells into something you feel in your teeth. From far back in the tunnel, the clack returns. Not fast, not angry, patient. Clack, clack. Daniel grips your arm. "Up, now!" Eli scrambles first, fingers slipping on damp metal rungs, boots scraping. You boost him from below, then grab the ladder yourself. It's slick, cold, biting into your palms. Rook hesitates. The ladder is steep, narrow, vertical. His bad leg trembles. "You don't think!" You drop back down, ignoring Daniel's protest, and crouch beneath Rook, bracing yourself against the wall. "Come on," you whisper. "I've got you!" Rook stares at you for a heartbeat that stretches thin as wire. Then he steps onto your shoulder. His weight hits hard, solid, warm, real. He scrambles awkwardly, claws scraping for purchase, and you grunt as your knees threaten to fold. But you hold. You push upward, guiding his chest onto the lower rung. Rook finds it. He climbs. Slow, careful, determined. Daniel grabs your jacket and hauls you up after him with a strength born of refusal. Eli reaches down from above, hands shaking but steady enough. The clack grows louder. You don't look back. You climb until your arms burn and your lungs scream, until the air grows colder, wetter, fresher with every rung, until your head bumps against a metal hatch slick with condensation. Daniel shoves it. It doesn't move. The clack stops below you. Silence stretches. Then, a voice drifts up the shaft, distorted but unmistakable. "Off route," it says calmly. "Your blood runs cold." Daniel snarls and slams his shoulder into the hatch again. It gives. Rain pours in instantly, cold, shocking, beautiful. The hatch swings open and Eli tumbles out into night, coughing, laughing, crying all at once. You climb out next, then Rook. Daniel emerges last, slamming the hatch shut with a force that rattles the ladder. He fumbles with a rusted latch, jamming it closed with shaking hands. For a second, none of you move. Rain soaks you in seconds, plastering your clothes to your skin, washing dust from your face in dirty rivulets. Streetlight glows through mist. Somewhere above, a siren wails, distant, human, alive. You're in an alley, a normal alley, trash bins, fire escapes, wet asphalt shining under sodium lamps. Rook steps out into the rain and lifts his face to it, eyes closing for a moment like he's remembering something older than tunnels. Eli sinks to the ground, laughing and sobbing into his knees. Daniel stands frozen, chest heaving, staring at the hatch like it might burst open at any second. It doesn't. The city keeps going. Cars pass. Voices echo faintly from a nearby street. Someone laughs. Someone slams a door. Normal sounds. Real sounds. Your legs finally give, and you slide down the brick wall until you're sitting in the rain, heart hammering, hands shaking too hard to hide. Rook limps over to you. He presses his head into your chest. Not hard. Just enough. You wrap your arms around him before you realize you're doing it. His fur is soaked, warm beneath your hands, alive in a way the tunnels never were. Daniel watches you. For a long moment, he doesn't speak. Then he exhales, slow and unsteady, like a man letting go of something that's been clenched in his lungs for years. That's why, he says quietly. That's why he leaves. You look up at him. He brings food, you say, supplies, but he always comes back. Daniel nods, eyes fixed on Rook. Because he knows the way out. Eli wipes his face with the heel of his hand. You're saying he wasn't just surviving down there? No, Daniel says. Rook lifts his head and looks at you, rain dripping from his whiskers. He was keeping me alive, Daniel finishes, until I was ready to leave. The realization settles heavy and warm in your chest, pushing back the cold. 5 years missing, not lost, waiting. Rook didn't wander into the tunnels by accident. He chose them. Chose Daniel. Chose to walk the line between worlds every day, scarred and limping and gentle, carrying food down and hope back up. Your camera is still strapped to your chest. The red light is off. For the first time since you started exploring abandoned places, you don't feel the urge to turn it on, because some discoveries aren't meant to be chased. They're meant to be followed. And Rook, battle-scarred, stubborn, loyal Rook, lifts his head, sniffs the rain-soaked air of the city, and takes his first step away from the tunnel without looking back. The rain doesn't stop. It doesn't need to. It's enough that it's real. Cold drops slide down your neck, soak into your sleeves, sting the raw places on your hands where rust and chain bit skin. The pain anchors you here, outside, upright, breathing air that hasn't been recycled by forgotten tunnels. Rook stands in the alley like he's guarding the exit of a dream. He shakes once, hard, spraying water and grime in every direction, then looks at Daniel. Just looks, no command, no urgency. A question. Daniel sways slightly on his feet. The adrenaline drains out of him all at once, leaving something hollow behind. He presses a hand to the brick wall, rain streaking his knuckles pink. I can't go back down there, he says. The words aren't dramatic, they're small, almost embarrassed, like admitting weakness after years of pretending it was choice. Eli sits curled on the wet asphalt, arms around his knees, staring at the alley mouth like he expects the darkness to stretch and swallow it whole. It won't follow us, he says, half question, half hope. Daniel closes his eyes. It doesn't like the open. Too much noise, too many variables. You think about the clack of the cane, the precision, the schedule, order. The city doesn't offer that. Sirens rise and fall somewhere nearby. Tires hiss over wet pavement. A voice laughs too loud. Somewhere, a radio plays through an open window. Chaos. Rook limps toward Daniel and presses his head gently against Daniel's thigh. Daniel flinches, then exhales and lets himself lean down, resting his forehead against Rook's scarred head. His shoulders shake once, hard, like something inside him finally broke its grip. I didn't mean to stay, Daniel murmurs. At first, I just needed time. You don't interrupt. You've learned better. The shelter closed, he continues. Then the nights got colder. Then the train stopped running here, and the station got quiet. His hand slides unconsciously to the place where the dog tags used to hang. Empty now. Quiet felt safer than people. Rook breathes steadily against him, grounding him in the now. Eli lifts his head. What about Mason? He asks quietly. Daniel doesn't answer right away. When he does, his voice is flat. Mason made choices. Over and over. The station didn't make him. Fear didn't make him. He opens his eyes. But it used him. The word used hangs heavy. You glance back at the metal hatch, half hidden behind a dumpster. It looks ordinary now. Just another city scar. No one notices. But you know better. So what happens now, you ask? The question is simple. The answer isn't. Daniel straightens slowly. He looks older out here, smaller somehow, like the tunnel had been holding him upright with tension alone. I check in, he says, with people I avoided. A humorless smile flickers. With systems that don't trust me anymore, Eli swallows. They'll ask questions. Daniel nods. Let them. Rook lifts his head at the word go, and Daniel shifts his stance, ears flicking despite the torn edge. He scans the alley, then the street beyond, then looks back at Daniel again, still asking. Daniel hesitates. For the first time since you met him, he looks uncertain in a way that has nothing to do with fear.
You don't have to,
Daniel tells Rook softly.
You can. You can stay out here.
Rook tilts his head. Then he turns and limps a few steps toward the streetlight, pauses and looks back. An invitation, not an obligation. Your chest tightens with something warm and painful at the same time. Daniel lets out a shaky breath.
Yeah,
he says.
Okay.
Eli gets to his feet, wobbling. I don't think I can go back down there either. Daniel nods.
You won't.
The three of you step out of the alley together. Cars slow as they pass, drivers squinting at the strange sight. 3 soaked figures in a battered pit bull mix emerging from nowhere. Someone honks, someone swears. Life keeps happening. A police cruiser rolls by at the end of the block, lights off, windshield wipers slapping rhythmically. It doesn't stop. Yet. You walk a few steps, then slow. Your camera presses against your chest, heavier now than it was underground. Daniel notices. Are you going to show it? He asks. You consider the question carefully. You think about the tunnel, the schedule, the way the station responded to attention. You think about Rook carrying food down and hope back up, day after day, unseen. I don't think so, you say. Not like that. Daniel studies your face, then nods once. Acceptance. Eli lets out a breath he didn't know he was holding. Rook glances back at the alley one last time. Nothing moves. No clack. No whisper. Just rain washing the concrete clean. You all stop under a streetlight. Rook sits heavily, bad legs stretched out, tongue lolling slightly as he pants. He looks exhausted now that the job is done. Daniel crouches beside him. You okay, soldier? Rook leans into him. For a moment, the city seems to soften around that simple image. You notice something on the ground near Rook's paw, a crumpled sandwich wrapper, half soaked, stuck to the pavement, the same kind you saw on the makeshift bed underground. Rook notices you, noticing. He nudges it toward you gently with his nose. Not an offering, a reminder. You pick it up, fold it once, and tuck it into your pocket. A story doesn't have to be broadcast to be remembered. The rain lightens to a mist. Morning doesn't arrive all at once. It seeps in. The rain thins to a drizzle, then to nothing at all. The sky lightens from black to bruised purple, then to a dull gray that reflects off wet streets and fire escapes. Somewhere nearby, a bakery opens. Warm air and yeast drifting faintly down the block like an apology from the world. You're sitting on the curb when you realize you've been awake all night. Rook lies beside you, stretched out, bad leg extended carefully like he's finally allowed himself to feel it. His breathing is deep now, steady, the kind that comes after danger has passed and the body believes it. One ear twitches when a bus rumbles by, but he doesn't lift his head. Daniel sits across from you, back against a lamppost, jacket pulled tight around him like armor he's not sure he still needs. His hands are wrapped in a paper towel someone gave him from a corner store, blood dried dark along the creases. Eli stands a few feet away, staring at the city like it's a foreign country. He keeps flexing his fingers, opening and closing his hands, like he's checking. They still belong to him. No one has spoken for a while. You don't rush it. Eventually, Daniel breaks the silence. I used to bring the tags down there, he says quietly. Not every night, just when I needed to remember why I was hiding. You glance at him, then back at the street. Let him decide how much to give. They told me routine was good, he continues. Structure. After I got back, his mouth tightens. Turns out structure can rot if you don't let anything change. Rook shifts, pressing his side more firmly against your leg. Warm, heavy, real. He never liked it when I did that, Daniel says, nodding at Rook. He'd refuse to go down for hours after. Just sit at the entrance and stare at me. You picture it easily, the dog holding the line between worlds long before you ever showed up. So why keep going, you ask? Daniel looks at Rook. Because he kept coming back, he says. Every time I thought I was gone too far, he'd come back up. Mud on his paws, food wrappers gone, still breathing. Daniel exhales. Hard to believe you're lost when someone proves the way out exists. Eli swallows. You think it'll come looking? Daniel shakes his head. Not like before. It needs patterns, attention, people who agree to the rules. He glances at the city waking around you. This place is too loud. A garbage truck roars past, hydraulic arms shrieking. Rook opens one eye, then closes it again. Good, Eli whispers. Sirens wail closer now. Real ones this time, not echoes in your skull. A police cruiser turns onto the block, lights flashing briefly as it slows. Daniel straightens. This is where I check in, he says. Eli's shoulders tense. I'll stay with you. Daniel looks surprised, then relieved. Yeah, he says. I'd like that. The cruiser stops. An officer steps out, scanning the scene, the wet alley, the exhausted faces, the scarred dog. His hand hovers near his radio, but he doesn't draw anything. You folks okay? He asks. Daniel takes a breath. For the first time since you met him, he answers without scanning exits. I think we are, he says, but we could use some help. The officer nods, already reaching for his radio. As they talk, Rook stirs. He pushes himself up with a grunt, shakes again, then limps to Daniel's side. Daniel crouches automatically, resting a hand on Rook's chest. You staying? Daniel asks softly. Rook looks at him. Then at you. Then at the street beyond, where people move with coffee cups and tired eyes and purpose. He sits. That's his answer. Later. Hours later, you stand at the edge of the sidewalk as an ambulance door closes gently. Not urgent, not flashing, just procedure, just care. Eli gives you a hesitant smile. You're not what I expected, he says. You almost laugh. Yeah, same. Daniel grips your forearm briefly. Firm, grateful. You didn't make it louder, he says. That matters. You nod. You understand exactly what he means. Rook watches as Daniel and Eli are driven away. He doesn't whine. He doesn't pull. He just stands there, rain-dark fur drying in the morning air, eyes steady. You crouch beside him. What now? You murmur. Rook turns his head toward you, nudges your pocket where the sandwich wrapper is folded. Then he starts walking, not limping away from you, leading. You follow him through waking streets, past shuttered shops lifting their gates, past delivery trucks and pigeons scattering. He moves with purpose, but without urgency, like there's finally time. A few blocks later, he stops outside a small outreach center wedged between a laundromat and a pharmacy. The lights are on. Someone inside is laughing. Rook sits. Looks up at you. You understand. You open the door. Weeks pass. The sealed station gets resealed properly this time. Concrete poured. Access points welded shut. No headlines, no viral clips, just maintenance logs and paperwork. Daniel checks in. Eli gets placed. Rook gets treated. His leg heals as much as it can. It still limps. It always will. But it doesn't slow him down. You still explore abandoned places, but differently now. You leave some doors closed. You turn off the camera more often. You stop following things that don't want to be seen. And sometimes, late at night, when the city quiets just enough, you'll feel a familiar pull in your chest. Not curiosity, responsibility. Rook will lift his head, ears twitching, listening to sounds you can't hear. If it's nothing, he settles back down. If it's something, he looks at you first. Always. The flashlight sits unused on the table. Because the brightest discoveries don't need light. They need someone willing to follow and someone brave enough to stop.